Hello, my name is Terika Wright, and welcome to my interpersonal communication project, Human Resources 508. Next slide. What is communication? Well, communication is the exchange of thoughts, messages, or information as by speech, signals, writing, or behavior. It's the act of communicating. It plays a major part of human living, and it involves more than one person. Next slide. There are two parts of communication. Part one is listening, which is inhaling. This is taking in information from speakers, other people, or ourselves while remaining non-judgmental and empathetic. Acknowledging the talker in a way that invites the communication to continue, and providing limited but encouraging input to the talker's response, carrying the person's idea one step forward. Next slide. Part two is speaking or talking, which is exhaling. We do this to deliver or express in speech, to make the subject or conversation or discourse, to influence, affect, or cause by talking, to use for conversing or communication, to express or exchange ideas by means of spoken words, and to convey information or communicate in any way. Next slide. Interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication is a subset of this general process, a particular kind or type of communication. It is also the counterpart of impersonal communication. Next slide. Communication skills. According to the Discovery Health Assessment, I scored a 58 out of a 100. This is not picture perfect, but I'm not at the bottom of the barrel. This score is average, leaving plenty of room for improvement. The solution is to put in extra time and effort into developing the communication skills that I already have and adopting new skills along the way. Next slide. Enlarging the conversation. Enlarging the conversation is simply understanding who you are as a person and being able to decipher who others are. In return, this will assist you in communicating more effectively and enlarge the conversation. Next slide. My overarching goal is to improve my communication as a whole. I will do this by listening more effectively and speaking more effectively and more often, recognizing and improving my weaknesses, and distribute factual information and giving supportive reasons to back up my statements. Next slide. This is me. My behavioral blend, this is me, this is expected of me, is an S. Some positive factors are that I'm a great friend, obedient follower, loyal and encouraging to others, patient, loving, and kind. Some negative factors are that I sometimes allow people to take advantage of me. I'm too soft. People skills focus more on individuals than masses, and I'm not considered to be a leader, which is something that I've always wanted to be. Next slide. My behavioral blend, this is me, C/S. Some positive factors are that I have a passion for serving with wisdom and knowledge. I'm a peacemaker. I'm very patient with people. And I'm a people and task-oriented person as well. Some negative factors are that I may shy away from attention, and people often view me as too slow and contemplative. Next slide. Potential barriers are ineffective listening, listening at a level 2 or a level 3, using suppressive language, lack of self-disclosure, having the flat brain syndrome, and giving advice and praise. Next slide. Noise pollution. Noise pollution is simply distractions that can hinder you from listening effectively. There are two kinds of noise pollution. There is internal noise pollution and external noise pollution. Next slide. Internal noise pollution includes hearing what you want to hear, biased listening, listening with emotions, and being a self-conscious listener. External noise pollution includes loud noises, clock watching, time pressures or deadlines, views of outside activity or scenery. Next slide. My plan of action. My first plan of action is to work toward listening on a level 1 and becoming a more empathetic listener. I can do this by being more receptive and sensitive. Number 2 is to use supportive language when talking to myself. According to Burley Alley, this works best because it leads to successful behavior and reinforces positive self-esteem. Number 3 is self-disclosure properly. Knowing how to self-disclose correctly, being careful not to use strategic self-presentation. Number 4 is to rid myself of the flat brain syndrome. There are 4 goals to counter this syndrome according to Peterson, which is reduce emotional disturbance, clarify thinking, increase self-confidence, and build supportive friendships. And number 5 is to reduce giving advice and giving praise. According to Burley Alley, it would be more beneficial if I was to express ideas and information rather than giving advice. This leaves listeners to decide for themselves. Although we look at praising people as positive, many receivers view this as negative. Next slide. Conclusion. With listening, we can begin healing others and in long run ourselves. And that world healing perhaps is the ultimate point of being here. Next slide. One of the greatest attributes concerning Jesus' ministry while he was on earth was that he was not only a doer of the word, but an effective listener. He always had time to listen on a level 1 and empathetically. Additionally, this type of listening leads to meeting a person's needs and healing for the whole man, mind, body, and soul. Thank you, and God bless. References follow.